face.
The following episode of Death Stranding is basically going to be an audiobook, so we're reading through the files. We still have a couple of interviews.
We could do that.
We can do some interviews.
Mail interview, yeah.
Okay.
How about
Wow.
Amelie?
Forever fascinated by the English language.
That piece of cake was way too sweet.
It's just... Turns out it wasn't cake, bro. It was just sugar. You stuck your fork into sugar. So, I believe we left off with Chiral Nightmares. I accidentally tipped this one.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. The Chiral Network connects people, past and present. How are you, Sam? In good health and good spirits, I hope. I have to say, the Chiral Network is quite impressive. Ever since you hooked up the shelter, my life has been becoming much more exciting. I've been able to procure all sorts of goods that I had never seen before, and I've noticed quite a number of new structures going up nearby as well. I should also mention that I managed to unearth some old data, some research data, that may offer some insight into some of the more unusual phenomena you might have experienced firsthand. I'm sure you have a vivid recollection of your many experiences in the seam, but it turns out that the person wandering around it that you might have identified as yourself may not be you at all, but someone else entirely. Okay, it's that thing again. You see, while everyone's beach belongs to them and them alone, the seam is an altogether different beast. I've read about people who had near-death experiences that involved the seam. When they came across this someone else there, they found themselves somehow saved by them in the real world. They'd even received care packages and the like in some instances. Remarkable, you'd agree. You might even say that the Chiral Networks bridge the gap between this world and that in more ways than we realized. Oh, now I still don't know who this someone else actually is. The fact that they're in the seam, though, would suggest that it's someone who's died, wouldn't it? Someone from the past? So in essence, the past is intervening to keep the present alive. It's comforting to think that it's not just BTs and other scary stuff that comes over from the other side. Maybe the Chiral Network can help us reconnect with more benevolent beings, the positive forces from the past as well. If I may, Sam, I don't suppose you could keep an eye out for this mysterious someone from the past the next time you visit the seam, could you? Okay. What is this? The Collector.
The very first edition of Hamamura's Porter Chronicles is here, hot off the presses, as it were. I've taken the liberty of sending you an excerpt. See what you think. No one could have failed to notice the changes that have occurred around in the world of logistics over the past few months. Indeed, it would not be an exaggeration to state that the industry is undergoing a revolution, as evidenced by the fact that so many porters have been performing admirably. The emergence of a front runner in any industry is usually followed by an increase in standards across the board, and the logistics sector is currently being transformed by a front runner unlike any other. I refer, of course, to Sam Bridges. None can doubt his strength of will, nor his unwavering determination in the face of insurmountable odds. Though a man of few words, those present, on the rare occasion he breaks his silence, can find his candor refreshing and welcome. He is a porter of the future, and in many ways our fates are entwined with his. Be sure to follow his exploits in future installments of Hamamura's Porter Chronicles.
Damn. We're in a book. That's great. George Baton, no more smart drugs for me. Hey Sam, is it just me or are things pretty lively around here ever since you first came through? Been checking the staff's vital lately and everyone's in good health and good spirits, it seems. Time was we'd freak out and start fighting over the smallest shit. Nowadays we're all smiles and handshakes, backslapping, hell. I've even doled out a few hugs. Best of all, we've got peace of mind, and you know what? I think we're using less smart drugs because of it. Might be because our bodies are producing oxy on their own again, even, and if so, the day we ditch the smart drugs altogether could be just around the corner. You've made it all possible, Sam. You've been a hero to us. You've given us hope. All right. These drugs don't have any effect anymore, but you're bringing joy in our lives. That's good.
What are you doing? Folks will be real grateful for your sacrifice. Quit your bitching. Come on. These are some of the words Sam Bridges have overheard uttering while faithfully carrying out his duties as a porter. Endearing, is it not? Too many porters succumb to the strain of their chosen profession and become unnaturally obsessed with their mission. These are the poor souls who compulsively steal cargo, the mules, the madmen who revel in wanton destruction, the demons. It is the stress of too many poor evaluations which drive them over the brink. If so, perhaps they should take a page from the book of Sam Bridges. If there's nothing a man cannot accomplish by the sweat of his brow, and through sheer determination. Thank you for that fucking Bioshock? Rapture? What?
Yeah. That sounds Rapturian.
Should we be surprised by Sam's feats? Those of us who believe in nominative determinism would say no. For we've always known that Bridges would excel at connecting people. We've no doubt that Sam is the future of logistics, the future of America. Good luck to you, Sam. Be sure to check out Hammer's Porter Chronicles for your monthly dose of Porter news.
The geologist. I'm not going to be like Hartman. Dear Sam, I've made a full recovery thanks to you, and have been able to push on with my research. I've also come to an important realization. Basic science alone won't unlock the mysteries of the Death Stranding. No, what we're dealing with requires something special, a kind of genius. You know who I'm talking about, right? Hartman. He's the most brilliant mind of his generation, and what's more, he has dooms. Not that long ago, and this is just between ourselves, I wanted to be just like him. Not anymore, though. Not after that bout of cow contamination. Now, not only do I know I could never be like him, I'm actually glad that I'm not. I couldn't take it. I couldn't deal with the nightmares, with having death as my constant companion. Fate might have been kind to him in some ways, but in others, well, now I know that he suffers. Let's just say that. His suffering is your burden too, I know that. But listen, if there's anything I can do to make life easier for any of you, let me know. I understand I'm never going to be the genius who cracks the Death Stranding, but I'm not useless either. I'm here to help.
So yeah, the collector is an Ayn Rand fan. Get your Atlas Shrugged references in there, or you can buy Famitsu to support that type of literature. Saving the world is bullshit. I've taken the liberty of jotting down a few observations for you, Sam. Go ahead and read if you've got a minute. I spent years researching the Death Stranding, trying to unravel its mysteries for the sake of humanity. Not Hartman, though. All he does is head to the beach in search of his dead family. He doesn't care what happens in the human race, to the human race. He told me as much. What a fucking asshole, I thought. All this talent, and he just uses it for his own ends. I was wondering why. I'm like, why would you call a dead man, like, no, like, hold on a second. It's like, anyway, hold on a second. Now I realize I was wrong. After all, he's not like other people. No one else has to deal with his 24-minute life cycle or the constant dreams of destruction. Putting himself first is probably the only way he could deal with that shit. Doing stuff, like, for the sake of humanity, saving the world, it's all a load of bull. It's a nice name for a horrible concept. Remember when people used to kill the tribes, their countries? This is no different. Can't believe it took a bout of chiral contamination for me to work that out.
Damn. Saving the world is bullshit blazing.
Still, my heart is dying every 21 minutes.
Oh, God, yeah. Go.
You already know the smell.
Thank you. You saved my life, says the veteran porter. Sam Porter Bridges, eh? I've heard an awful lot about you. I'm a porter too, see? And I like to take an interest in my fellow delivery boys and girls. Now, you probably don't know the first thing about this, but the fact is, after the Stranding hit, the government didn't come to the rescue. Matter of fact, the almighty USC did jack shit. And you know who picked up the slack? Private porters, that's who. Making deliveries that kept people alive. Stepping up and doing what no one else could or would. That's the world I grew up in. I learned that at the end of the day, it's only people you can trust. Individuals, not organizations. That's why I want no part of your UCA or Bridges neither. Sorry, but that's just how I feel. Nevertheless, I will say that I'm mighty grateful to you for bringing me those meds. I'm not sick or anything, just so you know. Not even injured, just worn out, burnout. Fucked on a quantum level, if you like. That's what happens when you push yourself too far, make one delivery too many. Used to be there. Wasn't a single mountain I couldn't climb, and I'd even trek down south to places most porters have never even heard of, much less seen with their own two eyes. Not anymore. I'm not full-on retired or anything, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't worried about how much longer I can go on. I tell you what, though, I was doing a lot better after you dropped by to see me. Felt good to know I had a buddy out there, someone who'd keep fighting the good fight long after I'm gone. You'll do that for me, won't you, Sam? Oh, speaking of places down south, I remember that last time I was out that way, I saw something. A little glowing thing it was. No idea what the hell that was, but it didn't look like something somebody had dropped. Ever seen an object like that? Huh? Did ya?
How did I save your life?
Meh. Doesn't really matter.
See, he was burnt out. He was just burnt out. How did I don't
Well, you gave him a reason to go on.
did he have a fucking gun in his mouth while I knocked on the door? Was he getting ready to swallow a bullet when I was like, ding dong, package? He's like, oh. Like, what happened?
Was about to go David Carradine on us. But it was like, oh, god damn it.
Bro,
What?
are you implying that was anything more than a glorified choke jerk? Because let's be fucking real. You know as well as I do, there wasn't no ninjas. That was the choke jerk. We don't need to revisit the topic. We've already discussed that, like, it must be the most incredible thing in the world. And there's been articles written about the type of euphoria that you get out of specifically hitting the choke jerk. I don't get it. I don't understand it. But it's got to be amazing.
I'm curious about it, but yeah. I don't know. Yet.
Well, let's say you were. Would you hypothetically invest in a product for those that wanted to go down that road that would, every 3 minutes, let's say whatever the limit is, maybe every 2 minutes, unless you press a button to keep it active, it automatically detaches and you fall. So that if you ever pass out,
So you push the button and it's active, and then pass out, deactivate automatically.
saves your life automatically.
Yeah, I'm down to go for a ride.
Okay.
Not gonna lie. That's better than feet.
Patented.
Fuck.
Patented safety release. So you can get all your fucking choke jerk in. You goddamn animals. Will new life rise from the tar? I hope not. At this rate. Not with this shit out there in the world right now. Just hit the reset button. Start from scratch. Allow me to thank you again for your assistance, Sam. My tar analysis is ongoing, but I was somewhat surprised to discover that the contained chemical compounds which bore a striking resemblance to D-amino acids. These so-called right-handed acids were rarely found in living organisms.
I'm sorry, what? What did they... What?
No, someone wrote... Someone wrote... Choke jerk man.
That's what keeps you going. That's what keeps us going every day, folks. It's these little moments.
Sam, this is choke jerk man.
Sam.
Every 3 minutes, my every 3 minutes, my noose looses itself, and I regain consciousness. In between, and so we can talk, and I can give you your mission. But I'm telling you right now, in about 30 seconds, I gotta start choke jerking again. So As we speak, if my throat starts to get a little bit swollen and weird, and the noose tightens, it slowly tightens up until I'm back into choke jerking, you might want to leave the room. There's a countdown in the corner of the screen. Don't worry about it. It'll tell you the exact moment that the noose tightens to maximum, and it pulls upwards, at which point I cannot be responsible for my actions. Okay? Do not be in the blast radius immediately in front of me, but it's going down. Okay? You will then hear a chime on your bracelet. You can take a look at the cuffs. It'll let you know that I have reawoken.
Yep.
And we can go back to discussing your latest delivery. How does that sound?
I'm awake for 20 minutes. I need 1 minute to clean up. Just give me some time. Come back in. Can keep going.
Chapter 10. Choke jerk man.
I need that. I need that with the proper fonts. I want to see it. Somebody make this happen. Fuck. I need that. Chapter 13. Choke jerk man.
On the loading screen, super dramatic lighting, right? The shadows are, the blue lights are kicking in from behind, and there's all the tech and the Bridges logo,
and the hazy eyes just losing consciousness,
and a fucking belt just right around the neck, like
a used up belt. Like, you see that belt? Like, you should buy a new belt. That kind of belt, you know.
God.
Wow, we got lost. Damn, okay. Focus.
Did you know that if you choke out hard enough, you see the beach? Sam, when I first started on my journey, I was using belts and ropes and other kinds of twine. But it turns out a chiral umbilical cord delivers the strongest choke you can ever experience.
It's sturdy.
Unrestricted by timefall.
My God.
It's a strand, Sam. You take the strand and you wrap it around your neck. And you pull, and sweet release.
Thank you. You good?
Allow me to thank you again for your assistance, Sam. My tar analysis is ongoing, but I was somewhat surprised to discover that it contained chemical compounds which bore a striking resemblance to D-amino acids. These so-called right-handed acids are rarely found in the living organisms on the Earth. Left-handed L-amino acids are what one generally expects. However, the sample of tar contained none save the rarer variant. A hypothesis that this tar may function as a medium to summon the past into the present may be incomplete, for it may also give rise to new life comprised of D-amino acids. The new life more accustomed to thrive in a post-stranding world, perhaps? Would its rise coincide with the fall of L-amino acid-based life, such as ours? All I know at this time is that Stranding is almost certainly the source of this and countless other explained phenomena. However, what ultimately lies in store for this planet and its inhabitants remains a mystery.
The veteran porter. You're the reason I'm getting no orders. How goes it, friend? Much obliged for the meds. These aches and pains of mine are much more manageable now. Was a mighty fine delivery setup around these parts once upon a time before it all went to hell in a handbasket. Folks still need stuff, though. This here's hard country. Hard to put down roots and hard to get out when the going gets tough. Used to do what I could for those in need, make sure they didn't get left to rot. And then, damnedest thing, I started seeing fewer and fewer orders. Got to wondering if something was afoot. Turns out it was just little old you, taking on the burden right when I was due for a long rest. Thanks, Sam. You're one of the good ones. Mind you, I wasn't half bad myself. Made it all the way to Edge Knot City once. Crossed the tar belt and everything. Weird place. with a distro center smack dab in the middle of downtown. Weird cargo too, stuff you'd never see back east or anywhere else for that matter. Long as I'm rambling, you ever read about the gold rush? Happened long, long ago. People heard there was a gold out west and started heading there in droves, eager to make their fortune. Well, damn this thing, but I think I saw some gold myself when I was out that way. Or maybe it was something else. Had that goldish glint about it, though. Something shiny. There you go.
So I was taking work away from you.
Yep. That's why I get 1 star. You dick.
But he didn't go mule.
It's true. He held it together.
Sam, we've modified your cuffs to cut the to cut the belts from the BT's neck. Thanks for Igor's flag. Can't believe you brought me that Luden's flag. I owe you one, Sam. I gotta say, I didn't think I'd ever see it again, especially since Igor made it himself. Some stuff just can't be reprinted, you know? Igor truly believed that Ludens were going to save the world. He dreamed of the day that we'd break out of our little worlds and start seeing the big picture. Bigger than America and the Earth. He was looking beyond the chiral clouds, out to outer space. This flag was a symbol of all that. The future of when Ludens would travel to a whole nother planet, stake a claim and call it their own. Guess what I'm trying to say is, that's so much more than a toy. When I hold it, it's like I'm holding my brother's dreams. I can never thank you enough for that, Sam.
Thanks a lot, brah. Oh, you want to take this one? Oh, we've already read it, I believe, right?
Yes.
Alright. The Chronicles of Aaron, Chapter 1, The Great Embarkation. Hey Sam, you're headed for the Tar Belt, right? Once you're past that, you'll be in Edgenot City at last. But only Amelie and the Vanguard ever made it that far. And from what we've been hearing, everything west of the Thar is pretty messed up. Lucky for you, we're going to construct a backup safe house once you get the Carol network hooked up over yonder. Director's orders. Got a heart of gold, doesn't he? Of course, the question was, who was going to get the sweet, sweet job of trekking all the way out there to build it? You guessed it, yours truly. Guess that golden heart of his doesn't bleed for me. Still, it's for the good of America, right? Everybody's got to do their bit for the great rebuilding, I guess. Anyway, it looks like I'll be throwing a pack and venturing out into the wilderness like my old friend, Mr. Bridges. Wish me luck out there. Aaron Hill, pioneer and adventurer, signing off.
Aaron Hill's body was found at the bottom of a ravine, face down.
With a belt around his neck.
Just piled up in cryptobiotes. We read that already. The Ammonite with the umbilical cord and mass extinctions. Sam, the Ammonite with the umbilical cord you brought back has undeniably brought us closer to solving the riddle that is the Death Stranding. Cannot really thank you enough. And thanks to that antimatter bomb you provided, I've finally been able to resume excavations. I remain confident that by continuing to research the fossils contained in the deeper strata, we will gain a greater understanding of how this particular ammonite is linked to the Stranding itself. Umbilical cords are not necessarily the product of evolution, but possibly the result of a genetic factor that hastens extinction itself. A mere theory, which if true would invite the question, what of our own umbilical cords? Are they indicative of the predisposition towards self-destruction? And if so, is there anything we can do to change our course? A troubling possibility to consider, one for which I have no response. Given this theory, one might consider the umbilical cord to be a representative of the connection between life and death, a dangerous, possibly fatal relationship. But like many connections, you find you yourself have forged potential force for good. For so many of our accomplishments are the product of our collective action, a fundamental truth that would have remained forgotten by many had you not brought us together. Stay the course, Sam. Yeah, this is Koji shower thoughts again.
Yeah.
Right? It's like the whole game born from the concept of what if umbilical cord, life, death, baby mother, friend to friend, strand, bridge, connection.
All these links? Deep.
America. Yeah.
Aaron Hill, The Chronicles of Aaron, Chapter 2.
God, do we have to?
The Lonely Road. Where you at right now, Sam? I just left Mountain Knot City behind. Don't worry, I'm not getting in touch to gripe about how hard this isn't or anything. I'm fine, honestly. Nah, seriously. I'm a veteran of the first expedition. How else do you think I made it this far west on my own? I can look after myself, especially with the forecast data available on the Chiral network these days. Always know when time falls on the way. Compared to the last time, it's a breeze. Walking these mountains on your own, though, it wears on you. It really does. Can't believe you've traveled so far without a soul for company. You're another breed, seriously. Hey, anyway, I passed this beautiful heart-shaped lake a little ways back. I'd heard of it, of course. First time I ever saw it with my own eyes, though. The one by Hartman's place, someone told me that there used to be a city where that lake is, which reminded me of a story I'd heard about this porter who got snagged by a BT. All these stars started bubbling up from the ground, along with rocks and buildings and all sorts of debris. Stuff from the past, people said. And the porter used it to escape the tar and give the BT a slip? What do you reckon, Sam? Sounds a bit crazy when I think about it. Anyway, I swung by Hartman's place to say hi, but nobody answered when I came knocking. Maybe he ain't as friendly as he makes out. Seems my journey through his mountains is going to be even lonelier than I thought. Can't give up now, though. Let's both of us keep on trucking. Catch you later.
Aaron Hill was never seen again. Found dead, impaled on a zip line. The Evie Devi. Summoning objects from the other side through the tar. Sam, I've been analyzing the tar samples you collected for me, and I've got to say its properties are wholly unlike those of more common tar we've observed on this planet in the past. The same can be said of the tar taken from the strata which the ammonite with the umbilical cord was found. The deposits have been discovered, no deposits have been discovered save for those accompanying massive fossil beaches, as if it's the literal stuff of extinctions. You know, the first time we get introduced to the tar should not have been throwing a nuke into it, because it was like, we should have been talking about magical tar a little bit before that point, because when we threw the nuke into it, and I went, why would a nuke get contained by a tar pit? And then they're like, because it's magic tar that goes to the past / beaches / the other side. And you're like, oh, okay. But
that's where you find the dinosaurs.
We should have talked about the tar up to that point. That's where the dinosaurs are waiting. In fact, the dinosaur beach will be found through the tar. Even more strangely, it seems that objects submerged in concentrations of this tar are partially, if not entirely, transported elsewhere, most likely the beach, I suspect. Therefore, by chucking that nuke into the crater lake, you may have sent it to the other side itself. Assuming that it's a two-way street, that also means that the matter sent to that world could theoretically return through the tar once more. This would explain some of the more fantastic stories I heard of. Buildings swallowed by hole in tar only to miraculously rise from the depths at a later date, looking exactly as they did when they were lost, which has an intriguing implication, don't you think? If the tar is the gateway to the past it has consumed, then maybe it could be manipulated into regurgitating its old meals.
Damn.
I guess this was meant to be a clue about what we just did.
Yep.
If I weren't
definitely.
fucking smart.
Definitely. But
SMRT?
You're a freaking genius, and I can't take it away from you.
Now, what if that bomb pops out in the past somewhere, though?
That's what I want to know. Do the bomb explosions reappear at some point in the past or the future?
Hard cut to the Neanderthals gathering around, eating a meal, and then hard cut to the dinosaurs looking up, and just with all the velocity of time travel, a fucking nuke just comes barreling through.
Fuck. What if the 5 big ELEs, extinction level events,
were all time nukes?
Oh my god.
Think about it. We sent ourselves our own destruction, but in doing so, we created ourselves, because humanity would not have been born.
Damn. Aaron Hill, Chronicles of Aaron, Chapter 3, A Fellow Traveler. Guess what, Sam? I'm halfway there. Can you believe it? To tell you the truth, I'm struggling to believe it myself. Not so long ago, I was all but broken, mind and body both. My feet were nothing but blisters and chilblains. The fuck is a chilblain? Is that something? I'll Google it after.
Used to be.
And the going was so steep I nearly slipped and fell more times than I can count. But just as I was about ready to curl up and die, you know what I came across? A hot spring. Damn thing saved my life. And it wasn't no ordinary hot spring neither. The recharging springs. You ever heard of them? The water there heals wounds, cures fatigue. Hell, it even recharges batteries.
I did that last night.
It's nothing short of miraculous. Okay, so maybe I didn't just happen across the place. A porter told me about it. Thanks, porter. See, I was doing my best to stay clear of BT territory, but my best wasn't quite good enough. So when I was about to walk into a heap of trouble, this guy showed up, told me I was headed for danger, and took me to the springs instead. Even helped me carry my load. Can't tell you how good it was to meet another traveler on the road, especially a friendly one. So yeah, we had a soak together. Shot the shit. It was nice. Seems he mislaid some cargo meant for bridges scientists. Said helping me out was his way of atoning for his sins. Now that I think about it, that whole part was pretty strange. He said the cargo contained an ammonite with an umbilical cord. Ain't no such thing, right? Right? But yeah, can't speak ill of the guy. I wouldn't be here writing to you if it wasn't for him. Be safe out there. Till next time.
Did he sing Iudana?
Bum, 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 bum. Nope, he probably didn't because he was whack as fuck.
Aaron Hill was never seen again. Found dead, stuffed into a mule post box.
We did it. What is in there? Interviews. Oh, we got a couple.
Likes secrete oxytocin.
It's true.
My mouth is dry. Give me a second. I gotta get a sip of water.
Sure. In the meantime, I could read this.
You could.
All right, let me get down to it while you get water.
Thank you.
Make it snappy.
Thank you.
4 years ago, Die Hard Man. Before the Stranding, the whole world was connected. There were networks, social networks we called them, that people used to communicate all the time. They shared all sorts of stuff through them. A random thought, a pretty picture, a home movie, you name it. And if you liked something that someone else had uploaded, you let them know by giving them, well, a like. Sounds weird, I know, but that's the truth. Yo, social commentary. Eventually, someone ran tests on the users of these networks and discovered that receiving a like triggered a rush of oxytocin. The theory was that it stemmed from a sense of being acknowledged. Even though you couldn't see the person you were interacting with, it still felt like they were accepting you, praising you. And who wouldn't like that? The same process is at the heart of the mule phenomenon. It's believed that an overdependence on the oxytocin rush provided by these kinds of interaction is a factor in porters going rogue. With this in mind, it wouldn't be wrong to characterize mules as oxytocin addicts. In essence, they're social animals at the mercy of validation. Yo, I fucking love this. Fucking call it like it is. Fucking social whores. That's what it is. Here you go. God damn.
TLDR.
Giving likes makes you feel good, and there were social networks in the past, and people felt awesome getting a tiny like, doesn't matter who it was from, but it felt like validation, being acknowledged, existing, being someone worthy of praise.
But is he talking shit about this, or is he praising it? Because Kojima's whole thing is that that's a good thing.
Oh, he's just saying, he's like, maybe mules are just like addicts that are like, yeah, we really need it. So we're just animals that are like, yeah, we need oxytocin, we need that validation. I don't think it's praising it. Sounds to me like it's calling out all these people. Know what I'm saying?
But at the same time that he says that these people are addicted to the likes, the game rewards you literally millions of likes for doing things.
Yes.
So it's actually doing the exact same thing.
Yes. And you feel good when you get likes. Even like the trivial ones, the BB ones, the porter ones. You're gonna tell me you don't go like, yeah, that's a like.
So feel good, but don't get addicted. But also, here's a million likes.
Yep.
Okay.
It is what it is. Go out there, people. Tell people likes are not that important. Get some likes and feel good.
I'm eating a warhead. Give me a second.
Sure. You want me to take this one while you're chewing?
Please do.
All right. BB echolocation 1 year ago by Deadman. Dolphins use a sensory mechanism known as echolocation to keep track of both their fellow pod members and any potential prey. As the name suggests, they produce sounds which bounce off objects and return as echoes, allowing them to get an idea of their surroundings. Interesting in and of itself, of course, but what I find far more interesting is the recent research suggesting that BBs use a similar method to detect BTs. As you know, BB pods are designed to mimic the conditions inside a human womb and are key to preserving the BB's connections with this world and the next. Well, recent research now suggests that BBs are capable of producing something not unlike a dolphin's sound waves. These pulses travel through the amniotic fluid and out the other side, bounce off BTs, and return as echoes, allowing a BB to ascertain the location of threats. Pretty cool, right? Dolphins, BBs, same system, same tech.
I'm really surprised that it's not going much further into like why a baby can do a dolphin signal. I mean, it works as a game mechanic, but like it's like okay, well, that's what you do.
That's how it is.
Anyway, the twins figured it out.
So warheads are the sour candy.
They're the
right?
ones that are super sour and then sweet afterwards.
Oh, okay.
They're nice palate cleansers. Fear as pleasure. Pain for pleasure.
Yeah.
Whether they realize it or not, the people of our fallen nation suffer greatly as a result of the separation and isolation we almost all endure. That's why oxytocin supplementation is so vital. However, not all of us require it to survive. In fact, recent studies have shown something very interesting indeed, an increase in the number of people who regard fear as not a stressful experience to be avoided, but a pleasurable one to be sought out. In humans, the amygdala regulates the emotional responses to fear and pleasure-inducing stimuli. Some scientists theorize that because these contradictory emotions are processed by the same region, we may... Excuse me. Some scientists theorize that because these contradictory emotions are processed by the same region, we may have the capacity to convert one into the other. Conversely, were the two governed by different parts of the brain, such as transformation, would be impossible. Such a transformation would be impossible. In an age of threats such as BTs, timefall, and terrorism abound, could the ability to experience fear as pleasure serve as a useful mutation, an adaptation even? I don't see why not. Ask survival horror friends.
Haha.
Yeah, here's the good shit. The Heartman talks.
Neanderthals are not extinct. Both Neanderthals and Homo sapiens are believed to share a common ancestor in the form of Homo heidelbergensis. But there are clear differences between the two. Neanderthals were brutish and brawny, well equipped to hunt larger animals and survive in colder climates.
I'm sorry, I just need to take a moment.
I can't say it. I know.
No.
Okay.
Relax. Relax.
Okay, I don't know where you're going. What's up?
Calmo.
Buddy, I'm calm. I'm listening.
Calmata.
I'm chilling.
Okay. I just want to appreciate the fact that Heartman is the only person so far in this moment, in this thing, to use the correct usage of homo by not having it followed with ludens or other made-up words that are just signs for playing human and humans obsessed with construction, and that are not just adding it as a suffix to a word that is my interest, but it is actually a specific genus and or specific categorization of species.
Just out of passion.
Yes.
All right, so...
I would take a guess and say it's Heidelbergensis.
Heidelbergensis. Yeah. So Neanderthals were brutish and brawny, well equipped to hunt larger animals and survive in colder climates, whereas Homo sapiens were slender-limbed and only capable of hunting smaller prey. But as millennia passed, Homo sapiens learned to create tools and hunt in packs. The Neanderthals, who actually had larger brains.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
typo.
a typo. Okay, who actually
Typo.
had larger brains than the Homo sapiens, also fashioned tools of their own, but they were crude in comparison and developed little over 200,000 years. Perhaps because these simple-minded beings favored small family units, so that even if a breakthrough occurred, it was unlikely to be shared with others. This isolation, more than any other factor, seems to have led to their decline.
Damn.
Homo sapiens, meanwhile, conceived religion, with which large numbers of individuals could be bound together in a service to a common cause. Very interesting.
The virgin Neanderthal, the Chad Homo sapien.
Strength in numbers also made their communities more resistant to famine and other calamities. In other words, Homo sapiens grew stronger through interpersonal connections by creating what came to be called society. If we persist,
Society.
If we persist in our own divided state, we risk losing this hard-won unity and dooming ourselves to the Neanderthals' fate. We will dwindle and die, apart and alone. But history holds another intriguing lesson. Homo sapiens did not disdain Neanderthals. The two species even intermingled on occasion. Our DNA retains vestiges of our ancient cousins even now. So you see, while a species itself may disappear, its genetic legacy may yet endure.
Damn. So, in conclusion, the Neanderthals didn't, but Homo sapiens did indeed live in a society.
Yeah. Somehow they managed to make it work.
The evolution of life on Earth could be described as the evolution of consciousness. When the first vertebrates climbed out of the oceans onto the land, their consciousness expanded to process the new realm that lay before them. But their development did not end there. Their eyes moved from their flanks to their fronts, that they might comprehend the depth of the world. Mammals found groups, increasing their chances of survival. Formed groups, Eventually they came together in communities, and then larger societies. In order to preserve and maintain these structures, humans developed a perception of time. And in order for societies to outlast the lifespan of the individual, we conceived of an afterlife, and a future beyond ourselves. Alas, the Death Stranding threatens to undo all our progress. Consider the chiral network, which incorporates the beach, where time does not exist. Or consider timefall, which rapidly accelerates the degradation of that which comes into contact with. How can our sense of time, honed with over millions of years, remain intact when we must cope with such irrational phenomena? Yet, that is but the tip of the proverbial iceberg. We are growing apart, retreating into isolation, gradually losing our place within society.
Oh.
I would even go as far as to say our conceptions of reality are under threat.
Oh.
How could they not be, when our very eyes deny the invisible BT that stands before us? The Stranding has warped our consciousness in every sense. If the evolution of life on Earth is indeed akin to the evolution of consciousness, then what's happening now is undeniably a regression, is it not? There is one caveat, of course. Some of us are now far more aware of death than we ever were. That is what Dooms has given us. For me, therefore, Dooms is not merely a biological change. I prefer to think of it as the means by which I have achieved a new form of consciousness. Furthermore, I hope and believe that this new awareness of the other side is humanity's trump card as we seek to defeat the Death Stranding. Okay, so everybody's going to get Dooms. That's how you do it.
Damn.
That's what's going to happen.
That's how we move on? That's
Everybody
how we
get
evolve?
Dooms. Everybody get Dooms. Dooms up.
Dooms, dooms, dooms. Everybody has
Doom,
dooms,
doom.
dooms, 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 dooms. There you go.
Now I'm just trying to tell the world that everyone's got Dooms. This first part where they talk about how life came to be and then how we became society. is interesting and you're following along. But then it really just drops a single sentence in there that basically just says, yeah, so after we developed our perception of time, in order to outlast the lifespan of the individual, we conceived of an afterlife. But then suddenly, that one sentence later, that afterlife is real. Like, we conceived of an afterlife and a future beyond ourselves, and now the Death Stranding is threatening to undo all of our progress. And that progress is that we made an afterlife which is real.
Yeah. The afterlife is consuming us.
You know what I mean? So there is there's a part of that step to which we have jumped from conceiving of an afterlife to actually having one, and somehow, I guess, being unique in that nature from all other animals in life. Although we saw dead crabs on the beach, and dead whales. And then now the Death Stranding is coming to take our afterlives away. And it's like, wait, there's an afterlife, though? But anyway. And then, of course, we have to fit the concept of isolation into this idea somehow.
Yeah.
Because, you know, coming out of the water, coming out of the primordial soup, and then...
We got together.
And then getting together naturally leads to... an afterlife, which then leads to which leads to this potential catastrophe, and then further isolation. But it's like, these things don't necessarily have direct arrows coming from them. You're kind of shoehorning that step process into the place that makes the narrative work. It's still cool.
Up next. Umbilical cords in the Devonian era fossils. 3 months ago, an article from an old scientific journal was recently brought to my attention. It predates the Death Stranding and concerns the discovery of a 380 million year old fossil, one from the Devonian era to give the period its proper name. It was a fossil of a fish, and in its womb was a child connected to its mother by an umbilical cord. No less. The species? Pisces attenboroughi. Sure, or Attenboroughi. It's a placoderm, an extinct class of armored marine creatures.
Was it found by David Attenborough?
Who would know, but nice referencing. Armored marine creatures that used to live in seas the world over. Unfortunately, most were wiped out during the Devonian era, right around the time of the Big Five, in fact. As you may be aware, one of the key foci of my research is the link between creatures with umbilical cords and mass extinctions. Once this area is connected to the chiral network, it is my hope that we will be able to piece together more data that will help us learn about the link between umbilical cords and the Death Stranding.
I'm sorry, I just clicked on a link and it led me to something really good that you will have to perhaps tune in to my Twitter for more information. You want to check back to see whatever I retweeted around the 29th of January to see what I'm laughing at here. That's pretty fucking good. Good work, Solidus. Good job.
Thank you.
That's a very good.
Yeah, I got to the end, so we're good.
It is common nowadays to think of the personally, blah. Let's try that again.
Take 2. Action.
It is common nowadays to think of the personality, the mind, of consciousness as a whole as phenomena born exclusively from the brain. However, things were different. They believed that a person's soul, their spiritual essence, resided in the heart. As a result, the mummification process involved the removal of all internal organs save this one, the brain included. To the Egyptians, a man's ka was represented and contained within the heart, whereas the ha was made up of the other organs and the remainder of the flesh. Hardly a picture compatible with modern medical science. But somehow, yes, but consider for a moment BBs which porters utilize in the field, and the brain-dead still mothers to which they are bound. Could it not be said that turning our attention away from the brain and towards the heart, the womb, and the umbilicus in our quest to grow closer to the world of the dead, that we are perhaps returning to the old ways? Again, the Egyptians had it right somehow.
Yep.
We don't know why. There's no explanation for it, but it's old and magic, so we figured it out.
It is what it is. Repatriates and void outs. 3 years ago, I have come across a number of old reports which make mentions of humans who have certain powers which have led to them becoming known as repatriates. As we know, when a human and a BT come into contact, a void out results, which is analogous to what physicists would term an annihilation event. These events occur when matter meets antimatter, and mass is converted violently and abruptly into energy. The process is highly efficient, though some energy is lost to the production of neutrinos. Similarly, in a void-out, vast amount of energy are released, resulting in destruction on a devastating scale which leaves behind a large crater. Void-outs triggered by contact with repatriates, however, consistently result in smaller craters. It is suspected that this is because energy is lost to the beach in the same manner that it is lost to neutrino production in a conventional annihilation event, and that in case of repatriates, the amount of energy loss is particularly high. That said, how the repatriate's body survives intact is a far bigger mystery, and one on which I will refrain from commenting until I have had the chance to examine one in the flesh. One notable repatriate is Sam Strand, a former member of Bridges, who left some years ago and has been making his way in
Bridges
the world.
won.
Oh, Bridges won. Thank you. I was like, is this like a bad punctuation? Or anyway. Bridges won, who left some years ago and has been making his way in the world as a porter ever since. I do hope I get to meet him someday, considering how invaluable he could be in advancing our understanding of the true nature of beaches and the Death Stranding.
That was 3 years ago. Are there any other repatriates of note that the game would like to talk about?
I don't remember.
Not that we know of.
Yeah. And me saying Bridges I reminded me of this news anchor who got fired for saying Kim too ill. Like Kim Il Sung, Kim Tu Sung,
Kim Tu
and
Sung.
Kim Jong Tu.
Kim Jong-tu.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Got fired for that.
yeah.
Wow.
Hey, it's a harsh world. The media, man.
But the Los Angeles Nakers,
She's still alive, right?
she's still around, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. Because it was a valid mistake between the Knicks and the Lakers.
As opposed to Kim Tu-sung.
Yeah,
Okay.
there you go.
I remember it was just before I joined the expedition when I found these documents in Bridges HQ. Research papers that predated the Death Stranding. People used to believe that dinosaurs had gone extinct at the end of the Cretaceous period, 65 million years ago. But when this fellow investigated various locations where the Cretaceous dino fossils had been found, he came to the startling conclusion that there was hardly any evidence anywhere on Earth that supported the theory that dinosaurs had survived until the end of the Cretaceous. In other words, almost all of them had been wiped out long before that. The only place there were any fossils that did support the traditional theory was here in North America, which suggested that this was the last part of the Earth to have been inhabited by dinosaurs. Not everyone agreed with this analysis at the time, but let's say he had it right. That would mean that there's evidence of a mass extinction hidden here, right beneath our feet. Evidence which could prove invaluable in understanding the one on the horizon. Did the dinosaurs who happened to live here just get lucky? Or is something special about this place that allowed them to survive? I'd love to get to the bottom of it, but I'm not sure if I have what it takes. I'm not like Heartman. I don't have dooms or any other unique traits. Still, I want to make myself useful. I want to research the Stranding and help uncover the truth behind it. That's why I joined the expedition team, after all.
Okay. Decent reason. Paleontologist, 1 year ago. In the period since the very first forms of life arose here on Earth, the planet has witnessed a number of mass extinctions, and as you're no doubt aware, the most significant of these are known as the Big Five. The first marked the end of the Ordovician period, while the next, at the end of the Devonian period, wiped out almost all marine life. But the third of these extinctions, at the end of the Permian period, around 250 million years ago, was even worse. 96% of all marine organisms and 70% of land organisms died as a result. The fourth extinction finished off most large reptiles, though the dinosaurs managed to hold on until the fifth came along at the end of the Cretaceous period, 65 million years ago. We humans are evolved from the small mammals which managed to survive that particular catastrophe. Each of these five extinctions resulted from enormous changes to the natural environment. Species which were unable to adapt to these changes perished, while those which were ideally situated to evolve and thrive did just that. Evidence from records which predate the death stranding indicate that many scholars believed a sixth mass extinction was on its way, or that it may have already begun. There was something of a consensus regarding its cause as well: humanity's destruction of the environment. This led to them to sound the alarm, warning the world of what was at stake. At the time, the greatest minds of the era believed that if the ecosystem could be preserved, and if humanity could learn to live in harmony with nature, then a future could be secured for all the world's species, humans included. But that was then, and this is now. If the phenomenon we are currently experiencing is indeed the sixth extinction, then it must be acknowledged that humanity is its main target. Is this divine punishment for our misdeeds? If so, then I suppose there is little that can be done. Perhaps there is no way forward for humanity now. Nevertheless, I refuse to give up. I will endeavor to find hope in our predicament.
Okay, so fish. Wait.
The second one...
No, hold on. Okay, it does, never mind. It doesn't specify. Okay. Ordovician, Devonian, Permian.
Devonian, the end wiped out all marine life, and then Permian was worse.
96% of marine organisms, 70% of land organisms. Yeah. Fourth extinction finished off most large reptiles.
Except the dinosaurs, and then the fifth ended the dinosaurs.
Okay. Because, they keep talking about, Hartman keeps talking about the Big Five.
Yeah.
So it's like you want to actually get a full explanation of what you're talking about there. What was alive during the first and
not mentioned
third? Okay.
Oops.
Sorry.
Japanese PlayStation or what?
I was born after the Death Stranding, so my conception of what the world once was is derived entirely from documents, photographs, and videos. We didn't used to have timefall for one, just regular rain. No chiral clouds, only the traditional masses of suspended moisture. And one certainly didn't have to worry about tar bubbling up from underground in most locales. Humans could travel anywhere, even into space, and we were blissfully unaware of the beach's existence. Suffice to say that there's no doubt that this is the period of sweeping change that will have lasting repercussions for all life on Earth. Given that, dooms may simply be humanity's way of trying to adapt and survive. See, there it is. They're telling you again. They're telling you again what the answer is. The beach exists within the consciousness of every individual, but these environmental changes, they affect life on a genetic level, do they not? That's why I thought to investigate them, and the medium through which I chose to do so is the tar, which has become so ubiquitous. But you're not interested in that, I'm sure. So, there's a very real possibility that we have already failed to adapt to the sixth extinction, that we are but another evolutionary dead and soon to be left behind. If that's the case, then it could be reasoned that the ones afflicted with dooms and are therefore blessed with enhanced perception of the beach are our successors who will survive and supplant us. I don't suppose that would be a shame, But it doesn't trouble me as much. My research will survive me as well, and the doom sufferers can pick up where I left off. They will carry on my genetic lineage too, for that matter. No matter what worries me, no, what worries me is not that even the dooms will provide sufficient to endure this extinction. If that is the case, then humanity is doomed. It's certainly a possibility that we will have to acknowledge. But even more than that, one question looms above all. Why? Why now? Why like this? That's what I want to know more than anything. Somehow I doubt that dinosaurs and all the other species that came and went ever considered that one question. Worrying about the reason for all this is that a uniquely is that and this and that is a uniquely human condition, I suppose. Yet idle curiosity may be the key to understanding and overcoming the stranding. No message we've received or email we've gotten to this point has really expanded on or explained dooms, correct?
No.
They just said doom. They said that Sam has it. They said that we can extrapolate that Higgs has it. We can extrapolate that people with special weird stuff, everyone with special weird chiral powers or weird abilities that we're meeting.
Yeah.
Everyone with the last name Man, everyone with a code name, seems to have dooms, or dooms related things in that sort of way. But we haven't actually gotten a full-on explanation for what it is, much less what it stands for. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay, just checking.
Tar bubbles up from the beach. I'd heard this area was pretty inhospitable before I got here. Got your fair share of mountains, obviously, and on top of that were all these rumors about a secret terrorist base or something. So I figured I was in for a bad time. But when me and the team got here, yeah, it was way worse than what we thought. Felt like we could get jumped any second, you know? I tell you what, though, I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw all the tar out west. Wondered how the hell Amelie and her team made it through, but someone said it wasn't nearly as bad as when they made the trip. I was sent out to take a closer look, and man, it was something else. It hadn't been that long either. Hard to imagine all that bubbled up damn near overnight. Honestly, I felt like I was standing at the edge of the world. We don't know much about the tar, except that it wasn't around before the Stranding, same as Timefall and Chiralium. There's some speculation that it might be some byproduct of the beach, and that if you could somehow retrace the flow, you'd end up there, but that's all theoretical stuff. Right now, we've got a practical problem to deal with. One of the cow relays we built is at risk of going under any moment. We don't have the manpower to relocate it yet, but we should once the second expedition shows up. Whether we can wait that long is another question, though. Maybe you could tell them to get their asses in gear if you get the chance? Yeah? Could you? All right, Aaron, calm down.
Last seen drowning in a pit of tar. Truth is, we've discovered it by dumb luck. Folks had made a point of building cities outside of Timefall regions, but the way stations and distro centers were a different story. No way around it. Even though all that exposure meant they'd deteriorate quicker. But when you're keeping an eye out for things deteriorating, you soon notice how chiralium crystals react when they're exposed to timefall, which is to say, not at all. They showed no signs of degradation whatsoever. Stayed rock solid even after getting soaked. It sort of made sense. Chiralium comes from the beach, right? And over there, time doesn't pass. Timefall had no effect on the crystals because they may as well exist outside of time. And that's when we ran into a few. That's when we ran a few experiments, and that's pretty much what we confirmed. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why not build way stations out of chiralium, right? Yeah, if only. Turns out overexposure to that stuff is lethal, and it can't be stored in large quantities either. Still, at least the chiralium coatings we came up with do just enough to keep the rot manageable. That's something. Okay. Pretty late in the fucking game to
So they're telling us it's bad, and we've been wearing all this swag made of chiralium?
I am literally
What the
top to
fuck?
bottom coated in chiralium boots.
You're basically telling me that I'm putting like lead-based makeup.
I have ladders and anchors and whatever,
And
dude.
boots?
Yep. If you die, you can repatriate. Shut up. That's why. So we have magic anti-timefall material, but the reason why we don't build everything out of it is because it's super lethal. Well, that explains it. That explains it.
Okay.
Yeah, we're walking around like I assume that like the other things that we have, like the clothing, the hood and stuff like that. It's like, I mean, it's got to be just plastic, right? Because
Yeah.
plastic is not going to deteriorate that quickly. So
Hmm.
why not make everything out of plastic?
Why not? They should. Too smart.
Timefall ain't gonna fuck with plastic.
Oxytocin by Victor 2.5 years ago. Back before the Stranding, people didn't rely on smart drugs like oxytocin so much, probably because they weren't so damned isolated. Me and my brother Igor, we got separated from our folks after the first void out. Shit was crazy. I was just a kid, but he was even younger. Too young to have to go through all that. Spending night after night holed up in those ruins, it was rough. But we had each other, held each other close to stay warm, and it made things better. Docs will tell you, that's oxys doing its thing. The hormone the body releases when we touch each other. That's why mothers form bonds with their kids when they hold them, and other stuff like that. But with the comms network not what they were, it's more dangerous than ever to go outside. And even when you got other people around, they don't seem too keen to make physical contact. A collective aversion due to an ingrained fear of BTs and void outs, or so I've been told. Add it all up, and you've got yourself a people that's isolated, scattered, stressed out, and insecure. So we've got no choice but to supplement our oxy levels, fill the void left by physical affection with chemical TLC. Pretty fucked up, am I right? I know we used to go to war over race and religion and all that back in the good old days, but that had to be better than living like this.
Yeah, I was thinking about Igor actually, and how when being dragged off, he was trying to kill himself.
Yes.
So the thing with that is, if he's trying to kill himself, then he would eventually create a void out.
Yes.
But I guess being dragged off alive would result in what?
And time. No.
Are they going to turn you into a BT? What happened?
Oh.
You know, that's what would have happened if would he not just get eaten by a BT and then go void out anyway? It's curious. I guess. Yeah. Okay. So
if they're
Oh,
dead,
it's just
they
this-
become a
it-
BT,
you
and if
just
they're
die-
alive, it's a void out?
no. It's just
Or-
that you die slow. You just die slowly. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Fair enough. He just didn't want to die slowly.
I see. Okay.
Why planes and drones can't fly? This is very, very important. Please let us know, Igor. What is the reason? Know what I wanted to be when I was a kid? An astronaut, believe it or not. Must be hard to imagine now. But back before the Stranding, the skies were full of drones, airplanes, and all kinds of crap. It's because of the clouds. I'm going to say it's because of the clouds. That's why. All kinds of crap zipping back and forth from continent to continent. Some even went up and into outer space.
But
The chiral clouds put an end to all that. Yeah. Nothing flies now. Now it all came crashing down. My dreams with it. Damn clouds mess with the flight system somehow. Don't ask me how. Eat up comm signals too, which is how come long distance signals can't get through anymore. That's why we've got no idea what's happening in other countries. So, set us back more than a century in that respect. People talk a lot about how the Stranding sent us scrambling for the cities, severed the bonds between us, but it did more than that. It severed land from the sky.
damn.
Yes, but that was important to sever the story from the gameplay. Because if you had simple flyover solutions, then you wouldn't need to walk around
Yep.
and make these foot trek strand connections to
Be
everybody.
too easy.
It'd be way too easy.
God.
Sam flying a plane? Damn. Dooms and the Zodiac.
All right. An astrologer. 5 years ago. Office in central Knot City. Astrologers, like me, are used to having our work dismissed, incorrectly of course, as unscientific mumbo-jumbo. But since the Death Stranding, more and more people have started to take an interest in what's known as astropsychology, a discipline that combines astrology with various forms of psychology. The fact that each person has a beach to which they are spiritually connected has doubtless contributed to this trend.
Are you trying to say astrology without saying astrology? Are we dancing around the word, buddy?
Seems like it.
Anyway.
These days, there are even psychotherapists who use astrological techniques in their counseling sessions. Perhaps the most interesting recent development of all, however, is the discovery that the alignment of celestial bodies at the moment of one's birth can influence one's relationship with a condition known as dooms.
Fuck off. Fuck off.
Yes, I dig it. Of course, chiralium in the Earth's atmosphere means that it's difficult, dare I say impossible, to actually observe the constellations at any point. To come to the conclusion that they therefore have no effect upon human lives, however, would be a foolish error indeed.
I hate everything.
Foolish, Woolie, get with the program.
It's like, okay, so for some reason in your highly scientific world, woo-woo is real. Woo-woo is real. Don't question it. Some of it's real. Most of it's still fake. Science is the most important part. But the woo-woo that I like is real.
Whatever fits your
Egyptian
agenda.
woo,
Okay?
astrological zodiac woo, maybe even crystal healing woo. Magnets?
How the fuck do they work?
Why? Why does Dooms have to be tied to the fucking constellations? Oh, Jesus Christ.
I don't mind, I'm a Leo.
I'm a Sagittarius and I hate that I know that. Fuck. God. Just tying these knots where they don't need to be. Sometimes we can let things drift. The fucking spiritualist being a valid, actual reference point for information in this world is deeply upsetting.
On equal footing with the doctor.
It is deeply, deeply upsetting.
Yep.
Equal footing with the doc. Oh my god.
How you like that?
I don't like it at all, Reggie. I don't like it at all. I've built a worldview that is entirely based on the idea of not having to give that shit the time of day. Let's just look at some toys and get the fuck out. Low roar.
Okay.
Motorcycle. Kawasaki Ninjas rule. Kawasaki Ninjas rule.
Oh, that's old school. 1972.
God of War. Original video game soundtrack.
Wow.
Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. No, not that one. The new one. The Boy. Okay.
That's it.
Alright.
And next time, new adventures.
Why did I think for a second we might actually find out a little bit more about Dooms? I bet you we're going to hit the credits and still not know. I bet you that while everything can be figured out in this setting, everything has a scientific explanation, oro fucking woo explanation, there's always got to be something that's loose and not too rigidly defined so that there's room for interpretation. And in this case, Dooms is it. Cool boss fight powers need to not be too heavily tied down.
Yep.
Because Dooms, though. Nanomachines, son.
It all makes sense. It all makes sense.